Man, I'm looking nice and casual today. I feel like I got the feet up. I got the laptop out.
Barefoot.
The audience didn't need to know that.
Barefoot Zach.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of your favorite podcast, I hope.
It's mine.
Franchise Unpacked. My name is Zach.
And my name is Dave.
And just how the absolute heck are you, Dave?
I'm good. I wish summer would start.
I know, it'd be nice.
We were talking about it the other day. I know people love hearing about weather on podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just been miserable every day.
It's been like 55 and rainy.
I want to go to the lake. And I want to go to a pool.
It's not going to happen this year.
No.
And it's so funny, too, because like right now, we were talking about this like right when Dave came in. I literally just took a 20-minute nap because my allergies have had me on the ropes. We're just kicked back right now, and it's going to be a
maxing and relaxing.
Which
is a very comfortable position for this episode.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
it's not an intense thing at all.
It's not like we're dealing with charging hell and
nothing major,
destroying demons.
But on that note, our episode today is on one of my absolute favorite franchises, Doom.
Yes.
Doom.
I love it. Okay, so before we started the episode, Dave was giving us a little bit of his first level song.
E1M1.
So there it is. I was in the other room. I was like, Dave, you want a water? He's like, yeah. So I go to the other room, and I wasn't sure what I was hearing. I just hear from the next room over, like this really muffled, like, I was like, what the hell is happening?
He's into it. Oh, yeah. No, I love this stuff. So, we were talking a little bit, but when we decided to do this topic last week, what's your experience? I don't know if you have too much with this one.
I actually do. I have more than you would expect.
More than meets the eye.
Originally, my grandpa had a copy of Doom on his old computer. Huh. Like I'm talking like floppy disk. Like we had the floppy disk.
The DOS. Yeah.
Yep. And I played a lot of Commander Keen, so I was already into id Software.
Mm-hmm. Had you played Wolfenstein?
Not really.
Okay.
My cousin played Wolfenstein.
I was the same way.
Really
I played it like after the fact. Yeah.
But I was so young because I was a bad host. I didn't write down any years. Because what year did Doom come out? The original one?
It came out originally in 1993.
So I would have...
on the MS-DOS, and then the next year it came out for the Atari.
Okay, so I probably would have honestly only been... 93, I was 3, so it wasn't then.
No.
But I was probably like, honestly, maybe 6 or 7, like when I saw it. And I didn't play it too much again. My cousin was the gamer in the family, so we would always watch him play, things like that. But a few years back, I was like, man, I feel like I'm missing out on a classic here. So I downloaded it for, gosh, it might have even been Xbox 360.
They had remastered the originals, right?
I think so. It looked like
the old school. Yeah, but like you could run, it ran well. You could do multiplayer. Yeah.
So
which is cool.
Yeah. So I downloaded that and I played it, and I was like, man, it's still held up.
Oh yeah.
So that was my first experience with it. I played a little bit of Doom in which year was it? Like 2009 or something like that.
Which one? Well, there was
Doom 3, I think is what it was.
Oh, just an absolute catastrophe. 2006 was when that came out.
Okay.
Yeah, I graduated when I was graduating high school. My brother and I were so hyped. Well, but we'll get into it.
Yeah, and I never beat that, obviously, and then
I don't even consider it a Doom game, but we'll get into it.
Yeah. And then recently I played the newest Doom.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, I never beat it. I got very far, but we'll talk about that as well.
Yes.
So what about you? What's your? Because you were hyped when we mentioned doing Doom. Dave was like, "I'm all about this.
Right,
let's go."
Yeah. I kind of like you. I was had to be about 5, maybe 6.
Okay.
My brother had it. On our computers. Yeah, so around 93, I was 5. I don't know if we had it right away.
Right.
Because I remember we got it, and then all that hype came out in the news. A lot of, we'll get into the controversy, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot of controversy.
A lot of controversy right away from a lot of religious groups saying, and it was the very first game that triggered that this is a murder simulator. The kids are going to start.
Not to be on a gruesome topic, but also it's
gory.
like, the kids who did Columbine.
Yeah.
I mean, they straight up referenced Doom.
They said it would be like Doom, Duke Nukem combined, Hiroshima. They described it as, and they said that
they modded a level. They
modded a level
to look like Columbine High School. So it's like, clearly there was kind of cause for that.
Well, they were, of course. Yeah. But it's that, one bad apple runs the whole, and I'm not trying to downplay Columbine by any means. No. But, and it is, he even said in his, the memoir, I don't know what you call it, memoir, or, Klebold said that was his name, right? One of the shoes. He said that the shotgun that he used was right out of the game. That's what he was inspired.
And that's the thing, is like, I understand why that caused controversy, but at the same time, that's one bad apple. Not to make light, like you said, not to make light of it. But
that was on the murder side. Then a lot of the religious groups came in saying, "Oh, this is promoting Satanism." A lot of there was upside down pentagrams. There were people crucified upside down, like sacrifices. But you're missing the point. You're literally diving into hell. So I think the architecture is pretty fitting. Like the setting. Well, if I saw rainbows and unicorns, it ain't hell.
Well, and beyond that, it's not like you're not going to hell and saying, "Yeah, this is awesome."
Getting the powers of Satan.
You're going to hell and saying, "I'm destroying of you.
I'm closing this game."
Yeah. Like,
so, and on that note, so I would watch my brother play a lot, and that's kind of where I first got my and let's give a little bit of the main plot of Doom. You play this nameless space marine who is there's this corporation, of course, called Union Aerospace Corporation, or UAC. They're, of course, the evil future conglomerate. They have made this is the original plot. These are the original plots of the original games. They've made a research lab on the moons of Mars, one of the moons of Mars, I believe. Because there are no laws on, you don't have to follow. You can do human experimenting. There's no laws, basically. Then they're working on teleportation. And in the process, they rip open a gate to hell and demons start spewing forth. And you're sent in to figure out what the problem
Doom guy to sort things out.
In goes the Space Marine. Now, a little bit of, I read, I think this is a mix of hearing a rumor from my brother, Doug, and who really introduced me to the game. And then from what I read, that there was originally that they were making this game and they were going to sell it to the to Aliens, the company that made the movie.
Okay.
They were going to sell it as an Alien game. They had all the monsters were skinned as aliens because all the setting, and you can tell, like, when you're in the buildings on Mars, it looks that industrial. It looks like Aliens, the second Alien movie that James Cameron directed. It's got that industrial hard, but they said, no, we're not going to give you the rights. So they just reskinned them to be demons and then kind of twerked the story and then added hell into it.
Well, and another thing that I had seen when I was researching, apparently there was almost a modded version of the game that was used as military training. And it was like a separate version of the game. It wasn't used to actually teach them how to fight, but they used it as a way to almost teach people the reaction of kind of like see it, shoot it, which I thought was really interesting for a game that was that old.
There were, and I also read that in 1993, there are conflicting things I read. One rumor saying that it created the M rating and was the first for the ESRB, but I believe it was one of the first few games, like in the first like five to get M rating.
It was one of the first games to be rated. I mean, the ESRB, right? Not ER.
ESRB,
it wasn't around then. And I think it's really interesting that that's still kind of like a private sector thing. Like, that's not government mandated. It's like the MPAA. It's a bunch of parents that get into a room and rate a movie kind of arbitrarily, which I'm sure, I wonder how that affected Doom at first, because I'm sure there were a lot of parents that are like, oh, this game is not supposed to be played. Okay, well, my kids are not even going to touch it then.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we talked about on the Diablo episode with Dave, how the cashier asked my mom, she's like, oh, this is rated M, like, I need to see your ID. Yeah. She just looked at me, I'm like, it's about fighting demons and the devil. And she's like, oh, okay, fine.
Right.
And it was Doom got a little more heat because of, in 1999, especially because of Columbine, that really sparked the...
Right.
Kids shouldn't be watching The Matrix. It's all video games are bad. And the irony is now our parents are all like brainwashed from like Fox News and stuff. And they're like, what happened, what they thought would happen.
Any news nowadays, it doesn't matter what.
Yeah, anything. Yeah. What happened, what they thought would happen to us happened to them hard.
Yeah.
So, but it kind of got just a a lot of that, but I guess any publicity is good publicity.
Yeah.
Because it certainly didn't stop it, because it spawned pretty much games. I mean, for the last 25 years, basically. Like every couple years, one comes out. I mean, even with offshoots, Doom 2 came out, Doom 2 Hell on Earth.
I never actually played Doom 2.
So good. Very good. I mean, basically a reskin, just same, a little improved graphics.
Well, and it was really interesting too, because Doom, I mean, alongside Wolfenstein, which, same software company, all that, and honestly, Quake even a little bit, but I think that came after
Quake.
Doom.
Big thing about Quake was the Unreal Engine.
Right.
That introduced something that still is
It had
huge.
It had this movement feel, because all other games, like anything action wise,
this was full 3D. Like the first 3D with like spatial. Yeah. Even Wolfenstein was that technically, but it did not have. You're right. Just the movement of AI and you.
And it wasn't for anybody listening there. It wasn't actually 3D. So the way that they designed the game was, you're basically just looking at a bunch of flat walls that
keep coming at you,
that keep coming at you, and that's why the enemies, when you circle around them, they're always facing you, because they didn't have backsides rendered. Those planes are always facing you.
It's funny, and one of the best examples of that is play the original Mario 64. All the trees out in all the trees just follow you.
Yep.
They turn, and that's it's basically they put a wall in that never has to have a backside.
Right, and it's so hard to describe.
It's a flat. It looks like a cutout. Like a literal two-dimensional cutout, but it's always following you, giving you, no matter where you're looking at it, it gives you the illusion of a three-dimensional thing standing in the middle of a field. That's interesting how you say it. I didn't know it was like layer after layer coming at you. It's kind of like how Walt Disney animated
I forget,
back in the day.
I watched a video on how it was all coded and designed and stuff, so I might be a little bit misquoting that, but it was along that line of like, it was not 3D. It was 2D all the way. That was,
I mean, it was a couple years later that 3D really 95, 96, like with Mario 64, that was kind of the first.
Well, and Doom also had this, it was so fast paced, I mean, even look at Commander Keen from the exact same era. And Commander Keen was slow.
Wolfenstein was slow.
Yeah, like they were also, and then Doom came along and it was like, okay, you got to move, you got to move, you got to move.
You got to move fast.
Like moving is your defense.
Yeah, because it was that, and that was a cool thing that I'm glad you reminded me. I was thinking about this at work today. The awesome thing I remember about Doom was, it was one of those games I really first remember. And I mean, this is super basic nowadays, even with like the original Marios, but it also gave you that for a first person shooter, you fight one enemy, you fight like the weakest, like a zombie right away. One zombie, maybe two. Then in the next stream, you're fighting 3 or 4. Then in the next stream, you're fighting an imp with 4 of those. It keeps building. And what you think might be considered a boss, and the cool thing is in the new games, we'll get into it, they'll do a cutscene when a new monster is introduced, and you're like, oh crap, it's a boss. And like, you're weaker. So you're like, oh, how do I handle this?
And then 2 levels later, there are 6 of them.
They're literally around every corner.
Yeah.
And you have adapted to what that either fires at you or how it attacks you. And you're that much better to face off. You're using those techniques now on the same zombies that you were, and you're just, you feel more powerful by your skill. It was a really, not just the weapons you were carrying. You were learning strategy almost.
Yeah. And it was, and there were, I mean, gosh, the first game itself was so huge and revolutionary that could be the entire episode on its own. Even down to the fact that they would do they would include that, like the swastika references in the first couple games. Yeah, to reference Wolfenstein. There was actually
they got it pulled. In Germany.
They did. Well, I think they eventually pulled it in the States too.
Yeah, I think they just recoded
because
it.
They even had a swastika in Commander Keen.
Yeah. And folks, when we're set time, for those of you who don't know, we're not saying they had swastikas because these guys are secret Nazis and trying to trick people. It was they had produced a game called Wolfenstein, which I'm sure it's also a very famous game, as much as famous almost as Doom. There's a new one coming out as well. And the most previous one was very, very good.
I never played it.
It's super heightened alternate history, basically. If the Nazis won situation.
Yeah, and you're fighting off crazy Nazis,
which is really, really cool. But like, just so you know that like. It's speaking of that, in Germany, if you get the new Wolfenstein there are no swastikas.
Really?
They rearranged. You can, and if you look at I have the box at home, that's not a swastika on the box. In the game, there are swastikas, but the flags, it's like this very close image. It's not the swastika.
Interesting.
Because I mean, you just can't have that flying around on things.
I think that's what they realized, because they had it as references like, hey, we have this game Wolfenstein, here's an Easter egg.
Hey, yeah. And you had to cheat to see it. You had to clip through a wall. When I say clipping,
and it was some of them, it was like part of the level design, and you'd have to be high up to see it or something. So it was a stretch.
Yeah.
But they also got into a little bit of troubled water, because they were accused of stealing music left and right. Even if you go into apparently if you went into the metadata of the music, they had what songs they were referencing. So it'd be like Alice in Chains, whatever,
Metallica, Master of Puppets,
and you can.
I wouldn't be surprised if an original patch of it, the very first one that came out, all those were just MIDI rips.
I wouldn't be surprised. And then they're like,
patch, change.
The thing is, though, none of the artists that, have been, I guess, the artists, that have been claimed, none of the artists accused them, but none of the artists have ever sued. They've, even though
would you?
Some of the songs, if you go on YouTube and do a comparison,
we're mentioning Metallica, and they are litigious more than the Disney Corporation.
And it's
Metallica will sue you just for saying Metallica.
Right. But it's insane to me, because the music sounds so similar.
Oh yeah. Well, it was that, metal drive, there's only so much you can do with that style of music, but it's perfect. I don't want to listen to
it fits.
I want hard bleeding guitar metal and a drum beat that is pushing you through.
Oh yeah.
There are levels when you're in a sewer and it's doon, doon. It's creepy, but still it's got that dissonant future weirdness to it. It's almost like you're hearing beeps and sound effects from your environment.
I don't want to jump to the present of the franchise yet, but in the newest Doom game, I don't know if you knew this.
They remastered all the music too for it.
They remastered it, but for the full new one, the one that came out for Xbox One, PS4, all that.
Yeah, a couple years ago.
All of the lead instrument, it was actually a chainsaw run through a synthesizer.
What?
That's why when you hear it's there's it's literally a sample of a chainsaw.
I heard there was I remember a couple years ago, my brother sent me a video, and he probably look it up on YouTube, the composer of the Doom games. And I think it's the same guy it's been him.
I wouldn't doubt it.
And he does I think both bass and the guitar for it. And then he did talk about, he's we started throwing in industrial noises, but pitching them. So is that an instrument? Because it's in
if you listen to the music, go back and listen to the newest soundtrack. Yeah. It's so clear. Once you know that it's a chainsaw, it's so clear that it's a chainsaw. It's
guttural. You hear that. It sounds like an orchestra revving up.
Oh yeah.
It's very Mad Max. The new Fury Road. All the music, it was I
haven't seen Fury Road.
Oh, Fury Road, Zach,
I've heard great so things.
Good. We're gonna do Mad Max as a franchise for sure. But really good video games in that franchise too. But
really,
one in particular I remember. But it was just this. You want this symphony of hard rock, and there's nothing better than you. I mean, a little side note, we played Counter-Strike a lot back in the day. And my buddy Joe, who I was actually just playing Borderlands 2 with last night, but
nice.
We used to play Counter-Strike together. And he said that, if he wasn't really playing a serious match where he had to hear stuff, he would throw on music. And a lot of it was like 9 Inch Nails or Slayer, stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, dude, it is a different feel. If I am listening to music that my own music, I am playing the game differently.
Well, and speaking of those, I guess we can start to move up a little bit. Speaking of, Counter-Strike, that sort of thing, the previous Doom game, Doom 3, I think it was, the one that you said was
in 2006.
That was almost designed like a Call of Duty game. They had it basically set up where it felt that way.
Yep.
And then everyone was like, you know what? This doesn't feel Doom enough.
It didn't.
So they scrapped the whole thing and they rebuilt it into what it was now. Not saying that that's too much better, but
it was a classic. And when I say classic, it's not a good thing. Did you ever play Fear? It was a first person shooter.
Yeah.
Cool. Spooky.
Yeah.
but it's just like corner jumps. It's like a little scary ghost jumping out of vents at you. And it's a shock. It's like,
it was when horror games were still getting their footing and figuring out what they were.
We even talked about that when we talk about our horror movie franchises. I don't like, if I'm seeing a horror movie and it's just a ghost jumping out at you every 20 minutes, and that's the scare. Give me a break.
Right.
Like jump scares get old. There's a time and a place.
Sure. There's nothing wrong with a jump scare, but you have to
not the
earn
whole thing.
that. You
not
can't...
the whole thing. And I have never played a Doom game that was, and maybe it was because of the graphic requirement and the hard drive. It was, for the time, I remember it stressed, my brother couldn't run it on full spec.
Oh yeah, no, I could barely run it on.
It stressed out computers back then, but it was the tightest, most cramped, claustrophobic Doom game.
Yeah.
And when I'm playing Doom, I want 50 demons charging at me across an open courtyard that I can open up my gun with. I want to hold down the trigger and not have to worry about like hiding behind cover.
Sure.
Because I have a chain gun.
I will say though, kudos to them for trying something new, for trying a new direction.
I want to know what the Call of Duty, what aspects and elements they were adding for that.
Right.
Like what it would have been. Because you basically, they kept the story. It was a hard reboot, of this. It was,
yeah.
The same story though.
Also, speaking of jump scares, this is totally off topic. Small digression, people, hang in there with us.
Tiny.
Click that ×2 speed button if you know. Don't.
If you want to hear it's ridiculous.
Did you ever play Spooky's House of Jump Scares?
No.
Me and Wes played it on 10 out of 10 forever ago. And it's literally a game that's based around jump scares, and it starts off really cute. It's like an 8-bit world,
sure,
or like 16-bit, whatever. And like there'll be like a little ghost on a cardboard cutout that pops out. It's like, boo! And it's like, oh, it's cute. And then it gets more and more disturbed as the game goes on, and like eventually you're in like some Japanese school, and there's a ghost with bleeding eyes, like hovering behind you. I'm like, it gets dark so fast, but it just made me think of it. Well.
Sure.
Maybe that'll be a mini-sode or a gameplay episode. That'd be a fun gameplay episode.
That would be fun
for the YouTube.
Yeah.
Which there will be. That's actually just another quick thing. We're going to be starting to do some gameplay things on the YouTube channel, just like
especially of franchises we've already discussed.
Yeah, just to sit down, play them, and experience those games with you guys.
If you guys want to see us play a level of anything, let us know. If you want to see us do or even better, if you want to see a walkthrough. Of Zelda Temple or something.
Oh,
we can totally do that.
That would be fun.
Or give us a challenge. Who can do what in Grand Theft Auto fastest?
Oh, dude.
Something like that. Who can kill the most people in 5 minutes. Yeah. We digress. That'll be coming up. We're going to be recording a mini-sode in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, for sure. But anyway, back to Doom.
Yeah. Doom 3 occurred.
Doom 3, yeah. You were not
and
a
with it came the Doom film a little before it.
With Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, if I remember correctly.
Carl Urban.
Who's that now?
Carl Urban. He's in the new Star Trek. He was in the new Star Trek movies. He was Doc Bones, Bones, the doctor on the ship. He's in Lord of the Rings movies. He's one of the writers of Rohan. He is in the newer Judge Dredd movie. You'll know who he is. Carl with a K.
Yeah, okay.
Carl Urban. Yeah, he's great. He's a great actor. That was a terrible movie.
That is one movie that I've never seen.
Guys, hard spoiler alert. Because if you're worried about seeing Doom, don't be. First off, they completely changed the plot. There's no hell.
Wait, what?
So the plot of the Doom movie is they discover a teleporter in the Arizona desert to Mars. An alien teleporter to Mars. So the teleportation thing's there. They're still getting to Mars. They didn't develop it though. The Union Aerospace Corporation goes to Mars. They discover alien remnants on Mars that they can extract their DNA and chromosomes from. Of course, they put it into somebody, and of course it goes awry.
Sure.
And it's basically a zombie a medical bio outbreak.
That's
no
not
hell,
Doom.
nothing at all. And at the very end of the movie, it was the first time I think it had ever been done that it was the most expensive part of the movie. There is a first person section where Carl Urban shoots himself up with I guess they discover he can handle the DNA, of course, because he's the hero. And it amps him up. It puts him into rage mode. And when that happens, the camera, you see him looking in a mirror, and then the camera comes out of the mirror into his head, and you're doing a first person scene, and you see a 2-minute section, and it looks terrible. But it's not well done. But it's the idea. Oh, it's FPS. It was one of the first person shooter games, so you're getting the sequence, and it looks corny as hell. And it's just like I said, with the minute I learned halfway through that there was no hell and there was not, I was so checked out. I wanted to walk out.
I'm sure.
It was so bad. You turned it into a sci-fi zombie movie.
Well, and it didn't do well. I mean, it got like 19% on Rotten Tomatoes, like a 5 on IMDb.
It was. I remember one of the first times I was like, this was a bad Rock movie.
Yeah.
Like The Rock movie. He could not save it. It was awful. And then Doom 3 came out and I was like, what is going on? Like, why are these? Well, no, Doom 3 was a little before that. It was 2004 technically.
But
yeah.
The thing is though, that era, like early 2000s until like 2009, I feel like that was rocky territory for a lot of franchises.
Movies and video games.
Because
everything.
And I think I have a theory as to what the issue is with all of those, with that whole time frame.
I do too.
It's because technology was advancing so fast and people were trying to use it to the best of their ability, but I think people got so caught up. It's the problem with the prequels. It's also, the problem with...
I hate to bring everybody down, but when 9/11 occurred, everything changed.
Oh yeah.
Focus changed, like production changed. Our whole world changed. It was a focus. Yeah. I don't know if media tried to follow suit and it didn't happen gracefully or something especially in those first few years.
There were a lot of things in that chunk of time that just
nobody knew what to do. No one, you didn't like, I remember GTA 3 had to be taken back. They were about to release it and there were only 93 completable missions instead of 100 because the last few missions required you to hijack a plane.
Yep.
And then jump out of it, causing it to crash somewhere. Like they had to like pull stuff. So I think it was just like, it was a lot of hesitation. It was rocky ground.
Yeah.
People, and it's like, Call of Duty, however, went the opposite way. And they're like, we are going to go gangbusters on all this and really market to the whole. I mean, because like they said, warfare had changed. So they made Modern Warfare. And it was kind of a brilliant move.
To their credit, it was a brilliant move. It made them, a quadrillion dollars.
I mean, you even let's look at the Avengers movies, any of those Marvel movies, Captain America in Winter Soldier. Like they go into, or any of those where he's in present day, his character, like fighting, these are terrorist groups. I don't even know if these scenes would be even close to the same if 9/11 hadn't happened. Right. It's like, they militarize things, even like Batman and The Dark Knight. There was this military complex that kind of took over.
And bringing that back to Doom, I feel like we were in that era of uncertainty, of all this new changing technology, and I think that they wanted to try something new, but they weren't sure how to try it.
I'm so glad you're getting to this because this kind of pushes us towards the future or the present, most present franchise. Because let's
go there.
Let's get there because Doom, the Doom, I don't want to say reboot.
Kind of a reboot.
Yeah. Doom came out in 2016, the newest one. I was living with at my now wife's house or her dad's house, and I got to play with her brother had a copy of it. So I just when she was at work, I would sit in their basement like at her dad's house and just play Doom. Yeah, it was so good because you're like, okay, you had Doom, you had all those games, you had GoldenEye, you had Halo. The combat system improved because you were able to jump, you were able to crouch eventually in certain games. Right. The better guns, more, zooming abilities, different gun abilities. Right. But the combat, you started having to take cover, maybe, as strategy.
In the newest one?
No, I'm just saying in general. In all these games, as technology advanced from like the 90s into 2000s, but there was still something. Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, when you could bring up a gun to sight, when you could go from hip fire to sight, was one of the biggest revolutions in first-person shooters.
And Call of Duty changed it so that when you got hurt, it was find cover and get yourself healed.
It's so you don't bleed out or something, which was another interesting. The health, a big leap, but interesting. Some people hate it, some people don't. Yeah, I prefer a health bar, but that's just me. But in certain games, it has its place.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what, like I'm saying, there was this huge jump when that happened with Modern Warfare, when you could bring up to iron sights. Right. It happened again when Doom came out in 2016. Yeah. Because they made it, they're like, well, we're not Call of Duty. We don't want you to sneak into a place, jump from cover to cover, tactfully taking out guys so you don't die. We want you to not have to reload your gun ever. If you have the ammo, you don't have to reload your gun. Clip sizes are basically infinite if you have the ammo for it. We want you to... They basically added, I like to call it a combo system. Yeah. Where if you do have to stop firing, you better be close enough to a guy to shove a grenade literally into their throat because some of the animations are awesome. Or punch them. Brutal. You have to keep the damage going. Not saying that it helps you survive. It takes out enemies faster. It gets you more power-ups, more ammo, and the game is almost built. You had to increase your damage. You have to just be this constant chain of madness.
It's built to make you. It incentivizes you to go to the next enemy, because when you kill an enemy, you can do these things in the new game called glory kills.
Yes.
And if you weaken an enemy enough, you can walk up to them and just basically pummel the garbage out of them.
You can grab them by the jaw and rip it off.
Yeah. and when
hands.
you do that, you get bonus health and bonus ammo. So it really puts you in this mode where you're saying to yourself, I don't want to stay at a distance and shoot. I want to run up to this guy, shotgun his face, pull his jaw off, take his ammo, and go to the next guy.
Yeah, because I know I'll take half of my health bar and damage just doing that, but I'm going to gain it pretty much all back, and then I'll get to the next guy.
And they have a system, and I don't want to misquote this at all, but I was watching a YouTube video where they were going into these different health systems in some of these newer games.
Yeah.
And the way that Doom has it worked is even when you're at 5% health, you're actually at 10, 15% health.
You had mentioned it. Yeah.
Yeah. It tricks you into thinking that you're right on that brink of death. But
it's
you
that sense of
it.
desperation.
Yeah. Well, and it's the sense of, hey, I cheated death again.
Yeah. Come at me, game.
Yeah. And like you had pointed out before, so it introduces you to these crazy monsters and demons out of nowhere. And it does introduce them as bosses. And I remember the first time, I don't know what they're called, basically the ones that look like the devil, they have the big hooves.
Oh, the Cyber Demon.
Yeah, Cyber Demon. So the first time they introduced
who is the main bad guy of the very first Doom game and of this Doom, the newest Doom game.
And I haven't beaten it. Maybe I did beat Doom. I don't remember. I got very, very close.
Because takes you to hell. Did you get the thing that the spinny thing that shot into dudes' heads and sucked their souls out? You were pretty close.
The last boss that I beat was one that he got you kind of in a line, and you had to fight in a straight line toward him. It was an arena type battle.
That was the Cyber Demon. Or that was the Flying Demon.
It was a big dude. It was a big dude.
Must have been the Cyber Demon. Yeah,
it might have been. It might have been a final boss. I mean, if I didn't beat it, I got very close. But the first time that you see a Cyber Demon, though, it's hard. It's a difficult fight. But you learn the tricks. You learn its moves. And then in the next level, you see 2 of them. And eventually you're fighting off 4, 5, 6 of these cyber demons at once. And they don't just go away. You can't outrun them. They will chase you through the level with their long range attacks, all this stuff. In
all the way, and we're saying all the way. You know how some monsters will stop once you hit a hallway into another area?
Yeah,
they will follow your ass if they can fit down the hallway.
Well, and it's so interesting to me because that's, I think, one of the coolest things about the new game is it really does encourage you. It's clear this area of demons.
Yeah.
And then you get the gore nests.
A lot of times you can't progress until you kill everybody.
Right.
There are certain holdups, but and I'm gonna quickly jump back because it was funny you said the big devil guy.
Yeah.
And people you're going into hell all the time. You never in any of these games fight the devil, quote unquote, or run into the devil. The closest thing is in the original Doom 2 from 94. The very last boss, you fight the Spider Mastermind, which is a giant brain, Krang brain, on big, big
the robot
legs. It's super scary. And then there was when there was an expansion to that game that added a 4th act, and you went back into hell, and the devil. The final boss fight of that is this giant arena with this looked like a rock arena. You were up on stairs, sort of, seated, sort of, and there was this giant wall along the far back, and it was this big demonic cow skull in the wall.
Yes,
and there was a big brain spot. You had to shoot rockets into the brain spot.
The BFG.
And the idea was that this was actually a combine, and the monsters you weren't fighting the wall. It wasn't attacking you. It was summoning demon after demon. It was constant. It never ended.
Yeah.
Until you died or you killed it. So it was this idea that the devil, hell was just this demon engine.
Right.
And the devil, and the one last little thing, how we mentioned clipping and going through walls for Easter eggs. If you clipped through the wall in the area where you had to shoot him in the head,
it was
the developer's disembodied head on a pike that you were hitting.
Yeah.
And I love that. It's brilliant. It's his long nerdy hair, and he's just sitting, he's mouth open, on a spike, and that's what you're hitting to do the damage.
So, okay, I did not realize how much I could geek out about this game. we're getting close to our time.
We are.
Before we do, though,
Yeah.
we got to get to the future here. I mean, I'll ask you first, like, what do you want to see? Like, what do you want the next...
Doom Eternal.
Yeah,
is
what do you want to see out of Doom Eternal?
From all the footage I've seen, it's just more badass, even more. Just you're onto something good. You revolutionized first-person shooters a couple years ago. Keep that up. Like, get even better and crazier kills. Okay. Did you ever play multiplayer with these games?
No. I never did.
Okay, the deathmatch, it's basically glorified Halo. Like you're not missing out if you don't do like. Right. But I think the co-op is a better solution for multiplayer for that game. And I don't know if it's available to play as co-op. I don't know if the first.
I feel like it could be tough as co-op just because there's so much happening so quickly.
Yeah, and I don't know if I'm wondering if some of even the level design would inhibit that. You know, like there's certain things, like even like if you're on like an elevator, if there's certain areas that like two people literally couldn't do.
Right.
But I'm not sure. I'd have to replay it. But yeah, so as far as future of the franchise goes, if you're going to do multiplayer, have an awesome co-op. Chain kills could be awesome with a friend. Yeah. If you could add an element of that.
That'd be really cool.
But yeah, I think just more of the same. Like I said, it's going to be a hell on earth. It's basically, it looks like they've rebooted, like going hard back to the beginning.
Right.
What they did with the first two games. So yeah, I think it would be great. I mean, it's id Software still and Bethesda.
Yep.
Bethesda's had a little bit of trouble this year. Yeah, they're not doing too hot because of like Fallout 76 and
I don't know. I think that is. I agree with you. They need to keep doing the same. Do what you're doing. Like they're back on the track of making good Doom games. I kind of want to see like a Netflix original series, like a limited series. Give us a 1 season.
Give us a Game of Thrones 6-episode season.
Yeah, exactly. Like give us some good quality Doom television.
Like get the story right.
Yeah,
you know,
and that's the toughest part. And I'd be okay though with seeing a over the top action packed. Like, you know, it can be bigger, like larger than life.
Oh, it has to be. Yeah. And I think final thoughts sort of, for this episode, at least, because we'll do a sequel to this one for sure.
Absolutely.
But like Indiana Jones, I love the religious aspect. Don't make it aliens. Don't that's the coolest part. What you could have easily thrown away as an alien shooting game, you're literally you're a space marine, you're traveling to another planet, and they still grounded it in religion. Was a really cool. No matter what, if you rift into this dimension, hell exists. No matter where you are, hell is there. And that was a really I always love it. And like I said, that's what just offended me about that movie. So if you did a Netflix series.
You'd have to do it right.
And they have books. They have comic books that we didn't even touch. I remember my brother had one of the books, I remember, but I think it just goes really into like deep dive into the UAC and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and
politics.
You know, as you guys can tell, even from last week's episode on Zelda, that was our first part too.
Yeah,
and it's just like we can with all of these we can dive so deep. But, you know, we will eventually, but we want to try to keep.
We got to get those overviews first, and then we'll do like specific games or levels, you know, or if we do like a movie franchise, we'll focus up on one of the movies. Right. But yeah, I mean, this is, like I said, one of my favorite first-person shooters of all time.
Excellent franchise.
I'll always come back to it. You know, I could still play the original ones, 1 and 2.
And if you guys haven't had a chance to, check out the newest one. It's just phenomenal.
It's stellar. Play the one from 2016, and then the Doom Eternal comes out, I think, next month.
Yeah, it's soon.
Very close. There's a lot of trailers. It was all over E3.
And also, guys, we wanted to point out too. You know, I know we promote the Franchise Unpacked Instagram a lot, so that's just at Franchise Unpacked, but. You can also feel free to follow me on Instagram. It's just at the Zach Rogers.
And you can follow me at the Dave of Wonders.
The Dave of Wonders. Did you change that recently?
I did. I was like, I didn't want to be DB Meese anymore, or Macy, because Meese. I know it's just easier for people to spell. But I was like, nobody's gonna find me, and I had like a way old account too that was just David Macy.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, everyone's either gonna go to that one. So I was like, let me make this unique, and So that's at the
I'm
Dave
not
of
gonna lie. I
Wonders.
thought that your last name was Meese for a long time.
No, it's fine. That's how he introduced at work. I am Meese.
Really?
It's just if people call me, it's how would you say that exactly? Yeah,
Right. But yeah, so check us out on Instagram.
Yes.
And obviously, we have a Twitter for Franchise Unpacked that we kind of use.
Yeah.
But drop us an email as well.
Yeah, we're
if you
getting
guys
a lot
have
of
any-
responses and messages. Shout out to Heather, who I spoke. She's been binging the episodes.
Yeah,
One of my
what's
old
up, Heather?
friends
Thanks for checking
from,
us out.
Yeah, all the way back from middle school. So it's great.
I got a message from a long time family friend, Serena. I used to do theater with her and
great.
high school with her. And she was like, first of all, when I was watching this episode, I was talking out loud, like responding to you guys, not realizing that I was watching.
That's
and
great.
second of all, 45 minutes is not enough.
Yes, awesome. We love to hear it.
That is excellent news.
Well, thank you.
So,
Thank you, everyone out there.
Yeah, we
who's
really appreciate all the
listening,
support, everybody.
great.
We still do have a lot of big announcements coming up. We're kind of slow rolling with them right now. Life's just busy, but you know what?
Pacing.
We want to. Our biggest focus is making sure that the podcast stays exactly what it is and just grows and becomes our main source here. So
You guys are really helping out.
yeah, you guys are the best. We freaking love you, nerds, and we will see you next week.
Catch you later.
Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. The next franchise we'll be unpacking is Stranger Things. But in the meantime, feel free to drop us a line with any questions, comments, or future episodes at franchiseunpacked@gmail.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and Spotify, and be sure to share so we can keep these episodes coming your way. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.